Hello, everybody. Welcome to your post daily news show for Monday, July the 4th. It is John Pollock and Wai Ting, two Canadians here on the 4th of July. And I've got my special 4th of July drink here.
4th of July, Tim Hortons.
That's it.
Very patriotic.
One milk,
All
one
right.
sugar.
You know what? Something they don't do down there. As
No, you are more likely to get coffee and then a glass of milk, which has literally happened to me when I've ordered coffee with a milk in the past. So, yeah, cream for everyone. How are you, Wai?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, not so bad. How was your weekend, John?
My weekend was good. I got to see a whole lot of people. We had our post hangout on Sunday night. How did that go? I was the host, so I'm biased. You can lay it in honestly.
I thought it was awesome. I thought it was great. Thank you for having a bunch of us over, who are locals as part of this post wrestling little family here. But I mean, I get along with everybody, so like it was just nice to be able
It's
to sit
unfortunate
down.
that we don't have like a simmering like underlying feud involving any of the members, and it'd be like fun to see them have to interact with one another for the sake of a group activity. Unfortunately, that doesn't really exist. We're a very drama-free site, which I guess has its positives.
Yeah. No, I tend to
Except for
like.
me and Braden, me and Braden cannot.
Well, that's why he was not invited, right?
Yeah,
So
I
that's
actually did see Braden
understandable.
this weekend, so I checked off all the boxes of people in the vicinity of the post world that I could see.
I'm definitely doing that a lot. Like over the past week, I've seen a lot of acquaintances, and I don't know if it's just kind of partly because I know once a baby arrives, I'm not going to have any time, so I'm just like basically crossing everybody off a list.
I'm giving you this like in all like good faith advice.
Yeah,
I feel you are doing too much of a like countdown to the end of like social life and stuff. It's not going to be as dire as I think you make it out to be, because in the last 24 hours I've heard you many times say, this is the last movie I'm going to see before this. This is the last. This is the last. This is the last. Don't worry, man. You are going to have a life that exists beyond caring for a baby, although that will be a significant part of it.
yeah. No, I appreciate that. But I mean, it's also been part of the warning that a lot of people have been telling me about as well. So, I mean, nonetheless, in the near future, it's always a good excuse to just see people over the summer now that the weather's nice.
Yeah, the when Max was born, like I had the same warnings from people, and I was very much of the belief. I was like, I'm not going to be impacted. I'm going to keep up this level, and that
You're still gonna
summer.
go out and party every Friday
No.
night.
I meant more so like from a work perspective. I was like, I'm
Oh,
still going to keep like this level, and that was when that summer,
mhm.
when the G1 started, and this was before you had like hopped on board. I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm still gonna do the G1, and realized very quickly that there were shows I literally had to go into my parking lot, into my car to record, because that was like my only available thing. Maybe not the wisest choice, but anyway, everyone goes through different things, and sometimes people are in denial that things will change. But change is very positive on the overall perspective of things.
Okay. Well, on the G1 front,
Yes,
perhaps
Way
we can
wants to
get in.
move on.
Perhaps we can get into a bit of this year's G1, because what signals the start of G1 season but the opening of the G1 contest, put together by Post Wrestling and, of course, Chris Angler. The contest is now open. You can go to postwrestling.com/G1, get your picks in through the brackets, and it really is the best way to be engaged throughout the entire tournament. We'll get updates throughout the entire event thanks to Chris Angler, of course.
That is correct, as you caught me mid sip. It is open now. I'm saving up for a vacation. Money's tight. How much does it cost to join this contest?
Nothing, John. Go on that vacation, buy that extra
What?
large coffee, it's free to enter, of course. And you have nothing to lose except some pride, but you have everything to gain, because it's I mean, bragging rights first of all, and then maybe some post wrestling merchandise on top of it as well for some of our top placers. So, I
Are you going to
mean,
enter?
I already have. I was the first entrant. You kidding
Whoa,
me?
you're already
Yeah.
in.
I
WH is in. I think Benno's in. I think we're gonna have a
I think
big
Bruce Warrior's
post
in.
representation.
Oh, I mean, the big question is, what do we call C block this year? Because there's actually a C block.
E Block.
So E block, yeah, perhaps
Yes.
Pro Wrestling E block. We shall see who comes. But I just want to beat Randobot, honestly.
Randobot has been a competitor over these number of years, not the easiest person to top. But yes, we will be doing updates on the standings involving listeners and the post members throughout all of our G1 shows, which will be available to Cafe members beginning July 16th. We will be bundling some of the shows together, but Wai and I will be on the shows
Different
mixed
brackets.
in. Yes, me and Wai are going to be in different brackets over the course of the G1. So that all starts July 16th, and you will be covered with all of the events. And we're going to be having guest voices on the G1 shows as well from the post world, and more of that to be determined. But great time to jump aboard postwrestlingcafe.com for the summer, because tons of shows will be coming your way, courtesy of the G1 and other bonus shows that you can look forward to, that all of a sudden maybe that will just pop up on your phone, and you will be so thankful that you're in this exclusive club.
Yes. um,
Anything more,
yeah.
Way? The contest. Where can
About
people go?
postwrestling.com/G1.
All right. You can join now, and it is open until July 15th is the deadline to get all of your picks in, all of your match predictions, and then they are sealed.
Yeah, you'll get an email afterwards too with all your picks, so you don't have to write it down afterwards. You can just refer to what the email that you get sent afterwards.
All right. Let's get into the news, and we're going to start off with Money in the Bank on Saturday night, and there was a meeting held with talent, and this comes courtesy of Mike Johnson at pwinsider.com, who reported on this meeting, stating that interim WWE chairwoman Stephanie McMahon was the point person taking charge at the meeting, described to pwinsider.com as a, quote, rah meeting, pushing that everyone who works for the company are one big family working together. Triple H was also in attendance at the meeting, reiterating that he is back to work full-time for the company, similar to what he stated recently to the NXT talents in Orlando. They made it clear that they are and would be available to talents if they had any questions going forward. Maybe some talent would have questions. Are there going to be any cuts coming up to our one big happy family?
Well, you could ask. I'm not so sure you're going to get an answer.
Yes. There was no new ground broken on the Vince McMahon investigation by the WWE Board of Directors. There was also no word on the status of John Laurinaitis, who is on an extended leave as part of the investigation that is currently ongoing. Laurinaitis is still officially with the company, but currently has no active duties. We are told Steffi and Hunter were the ones who spoke at the meeting, but other execs, including Nick Khan, were present. We have not confirmed whether Vince McMahon was present at the meeting, which took place shortly before the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Some talents were putting their matches together later than usual for a pay-per-view day due to the meeting. So I thought this was all somewhat interesting, just in terms of the positioning of Stephanie McMahon and Paul Levesque as sort of your front-facing people, both in this meeting, and not a coincidence to me that those are the people at this UFC event, that it was very much this united front of Vince McMahon, Stephanie, and Paul Levesque, who has been very much not a public figure over these past 9 to 10 months, and just being shown there. I thought that was very interesting and very much positioning Paul Levesque as being back, as we have reported on.
Certainly, yeah. I mean, I think any sort of stability, with your employees is probably important. After all the discussion, and I think all the conversation that must be taking place backstage, to at least have some sort of visual representation of who you're supposed to be working for, who's supposed to be giving your orders. It seems like,
while also including the person that has stepped away from those CEO and chairman duties, who is also part of this public face.
Yeah. Behind the scenes, I think it's at anybody's guess, of course, who's actually, I mean, not so much, but we all probably can assume who's really pulling the strings. But I don't know. This is just kind of more, I guess, orchestrating, from a PR perspective for not just the talent, but maybe, the shareholders and everybody else at large when it comes to the structure of this company.
Yes. So, I mean, interesting nonetheless that they held a meeting like this, sort of like rallying the troops and And it would be very interesting to see how it was received by talent as well. If this is simply, at a time when, I go to say that, the perception of the brand may be negative. I can't quite say that way, as we have seen these stories that have come out and what the response has been like. It does not like the WWE stock certainly took a dip when the first Wall Street Journal report came out. It has bounced back somewhat, and I can't say like and they went through this ratings boom in the short term of all of that as well. So I don't know if this is a case where WWE has paid greatly. So there you see it, where they were trading at, peaking at just over $66, and they are at $62.56 as of close on Friday. But yeah, I would say as a whole, I don't feel this is WWE going through a PR disaster. I think that would certainly be overstating what they're going through.
At the moment, perhaps, maybe you don't necessarily classify it that way when you look at maybe just numbers. Of course, the door is still open for these types of stories to come out.
We're speaking in the immediate present of, of course, further reports could definitely change that.
And we've yet to see the results of this, investigation that is supposedly taking place internally. And it remains to be seen, though, even if certain things come out, how it might affect financials. I mean, WWE, I think, historically has shown just a real aversion to, I don't know, financially taking any sort of hit from their PR nightmares. So, is this another one that they'll just continue to weather? We shall see. I don't know.
Just going back to Money in the Bank on Saturday, we have our whole post show up on the YouTube channel. And for those that subscribe to Post Wrestling on your podcast app, you can listen to our review of the entire card. But after the show went off the air, they did do an angle with Happy Corbin attacking Pat McAfee to set up the match officially being added to SummerSlam on July 30th. And then the worker, Pat McAfee, hopping across the street to the T-Mobile Arena, grabbing a drink and making sure his neck brace is present when we had our on camera here, which, to be a fly on the wall, I would love nothing more than for Vince McMahon to share his thoughts. This was right before the main event, so I don't know if they caught the tail end of the featherweight fight with Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway, but would have seen the main event, and I would love a Vince McMahon breakdown of those two fights.
I'd love it too. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I didn't see the fight itself, John, but I mean, do you think it was a Vince-friendly fight? That was
the main event. It was not a great fight. This was, Israel Adesanya even called it as much like an off night for him. But I mean, he did have the better game plan, and it was not a great main event. Now, the featherweight fight, Alexander Volkanovski, was terrific. This was, I would say, his best performance to date, and he's had some significant ones with Jose Aldo, the prior Holloway fights, but this was, from start to finish, a solid 50-45 for Alexander Volkanovski. I don't know if Vince caught the end and what his impressions would have been for the featherweights, no less. Where's the rest of them?
Maybe he went back afterwards to watch it on.
I could honestly, of the four main fighters on this card, I could see him walking away being the most enamored with Jared Cannonier. Here's this guy who used to fight at heavyweight. This guy walked around at 241 pounds, and he's now a jacked middleweight that is just, carved out of granite. Although Adesanya, I think, would maybe also stand out. He would have to change his name, of course.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. What did you think about the Adesanya entrance? That got a lot of play.
I mean, it's every kind of teenager's I don't know, wrestling fan's fantasy, right? To turn the lights off, play the music, and then walk out slowly with the urn.
Someone brought up that Eugene Behrman, his coach in the top right there, should have gone full out as Paul Bear.
Paul Bear with the whole
if you've seen his face, it could have been rather funny. But the last thing I would have been wanting to worry about is my coach playing Halloween right before my title fight.
Would have really thrown off the game plan potentially.
It was the nice touch putting Jared's name on the urn. Certainly a lot of, and this was not just he picked the track and had a prop. The UFC was fully into this, doing the whole lighting scheme and making this as much of an Undertaker entrance as they could. And And Adesanya afterwards, he did speak about this entrance to Carolyn Pierce at BT Sports, stating that it was Tuesday. I came up with this with my friends, and just sitting down, he said, I didn't even realize the McMahons were in the house tonight. That was kind of cool. Triple H too. I'm a kid who grew up during the Attitude Era, and says that he used to play the tracks like the Batista entrance, Austin's, just to get in the mood while we would wrestle. And so, yes, he just came up with this, he said, on Tuesday, and said that he would try his hand at pro wrestling just for fun, not saying he would do it full time, but I'm definitely going to jump into WWE or something along that line, just for the entertainment factor, because I grew up jumping off the couch, broke my arm doing shooting stars. How about that?
Shooting star presses. Wow, impressive. I mean, listen, it's a viable career path, you know, if you're a big enough star in MMA to try your hand at professional wrestling these days.
And this is what WWE wants for their big shows. Like, they want this kind of appeal.
It's what AEW wants.
Yes.
You know? So I mean, if you're a big enough star, you have a big enough name attached to yourself, and you have a big enough personality, yeah, potentially you could make some good money. Yeah, no, this entrance was fun. You know, like they got the smoke and everything. To this day, though, does not, you know, it does not match my favorite professional wrestling entrance for a UFC fighter, and that was, of course, Tom Lawler coming out as the Shockmaster during those Montreal weigh-ins at one time.
Yes, the weigh-ins one, that one was maybe the high one. I was also at the card in Montreal in 2010 when he came out as Dan Severn. That was a very good one as well. Yeah, he had some fantastic ones. I would love to know what he thought about this entrance on Saturday.
Yeah, I would love to as well. Yeah, maybe he'll be making some big entrances himself as part of the G1 this year.
That is right. So there you go. That was the appearance by Israel Adesanya on Saturday night, and an entertaining card. I ended up watching the whole thing after we finished on Saturday night, but Alexander Volkanovski, just a tremendous performance against Max Holloway, really solidifying those. He's now 3-0 against Max Holloway, and kind of shutting the door on that rivalry after 3 fights. Well, if WWE does not work out for Israel Adesanya, maybe the Wrestling Entertainment Series will be able to meet his asking price. This card is supposed to go down on Saturday from Nottingham, England. I guess that there are those questioning if this card is going to happen. If you remember, they were supposed to do their show last month, and then at the last minute, it got moved to this new date of July the 9th. And instead of Adam Scherr, the former Braun Strowman, facing Alistair Overeem, it will now be Moose taking on Alistair Overeem, a dream match years in the making. And this is how they're promoting the show, with Nia Jax still part of it. And back on June 23rd, she tweeted she would not be appearing at this show. And despite continually being advertised for this, she has now put out another statement and wrote, I do not know why I am still on this poster, but I will repeat myself again. I will not be at the show. Please do not buy a ticket thinking you will see me perform or get a chance to meet me. I hate that this misleads people. And this came days after Matthew Rehwoldt from Impact Wrestling stated that he had moved his calendar around so that he could do this show, including foregoing another booking, and now the group has ghosted him. And he said, this was on Friday, that he has not received any travel information. He does know that others on this card have been paid in advance, but those that he knows also don't have any information for the show. No travel, hotel, or any pertinent information has been shared with anyone I know. And he states that I would be wary of buying a ticket or the broadcast of this show. And Rehwoldt is openly questioning if this show will happen on Saturday. But they are advertising other names in addition. Eric Young, Samurai Del Sol, of course, the Authors of Pain, the Legion of Pain are kind of the centerpieces of these shows. And I guess this will be a big question mark if the show goes down or not on Saturday. But Nia Jax, at the very least, will not be on it.
Yeah. From the moment this thing was announced, I think the wrestling internet audience was kind of laughing at it, honestly, whether it be by the ridiculous prices or, you know,
10,000 seat arena they have booked.
It's just like it's laughable. Like we're talking about like even like all out, all in was such a massive, I think, undertaking, and that took like years and years of fan cultivation to build up to sell out the Now Arena. And for these guys to think that anyway, the whole thing was laughable to begin with, and then the delays I don't think came as a surprise to anybody. And then now having talent speak out about their lack of communication with it, one after another, kind of talking about not distancing themselves from this brand at all. It's completely just a joke, and I don't know. What are your thoughts, John? Do you think it happens this week?
Well, I will say with Alistair Overeem, he at least has done one interview I'm aware of with Ariel Helwani promoting this. So I figure he's at least gotten something to commit to this show. But beyond that, I would not be making any predictions on what's going to happen with this card. The fact that Matthew Rehwoldt is stating no one he knows has received any information as of Friday, you would assume that extends to the Impact people that have been advertised for this show. So if you're talking a week out, if this does not happen, you're going to have a lot of angry people because the first show gets moved at the last minute. And for these talents, like they have their calendars booked weeks, if not months in advance. And they've got to make choices sometimes if there's a conflict that if I'm going to fly, that means it's not just I'm doing the show Saturday. It means my whole weekend is taken up with travel there and back. And that's a weekend that they lose out on. And yeah, you would hope that the promotion itself puts out some clarity this week, because if you have performers that are actively stating, I don't know if this show is going to happen, and they're just being silent on the matter, I think it would be a kind of buyer beware type of a situation for this card going into Saturday. I hate to hear about stories like this where fans have bought tickets, they're expecting certain people, and here we are this many days out, and can we say definitively the show's going to happen? I don't think we can.
Not at all. No, it reflects poorly on the talents that are advertised, if they don't appear for whatever reason. And I think just reflects poorly on like professional wrestling in general to continue to have like, poorly organized events like this. So
yeah, like ghosting a talent. I mean, that's just, what a frustrating situation for those talents involved with this show. Raw tonight will be in San Diego, California, and all we have announced is Finn Balor and Damian Priest against Rey and Dominic Mysterio. And I've thought of this. Do you feel that this could somehow tie into Edge's return in some form or fashion, where the match at SummerSlam could end up being Balor and Priest against Edge and Rey, given their history, and doing some angle tonight where Dominic's kind of in the middle of it, whether he's trying to be recruited by Judgment Day or sticking with his father. But I could see like a big angle tonight, given they are in Rey's hometown, and they've at least teased the Edge return. So maybe you're not getting that tonight, but at least it leads to that. That's just a theory in my head.
I think that totally works out really well, actually. So much of it, I think, is dependent on whether or not they consider Rey Mysterio worthy of a card on or a spot on a big card like that. But I think you'll definitely have Edge, go for revenge, of course, against Judgment Day, and
you got these vignettes about past opponents and stuff. So you've got the history with Rey that would somewhat tie into whatever this direction is for his return.
Yeah. I mean, it would make sense to me.
All right. And that's it tonight, 4th of July. So I'm sure viewership is going to be hurt tonight for the program. But we are going to be back tonight going through all 3 hours of Raw, as we are going to be live at 11 Eastern here at youtube.com/postwrestling. And some great shows up over the weekend as well. We have WrestleNomics with Brandon Thurston and Chris Gullo. And what a post representation we're going to have at Dynamite this week.
Yeah, I believe those two are going to be at Rochester for that show, and I believe
in suits, maybe
in suits, yeah. And Davey Portman as well will be in attendance as well. So he's doing quite the tour. He's following Dynamite at least 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, Davey's on the road.
Yeah. So I'm say hi to those guys if you happen to see them. One last little update here. This comes somebody in the chat room alerted me to this, but Big E just gave us a bit of an update on his recovery process. It says update. My C1 isn't ossifying, brackets, forming bone, quite yet. The current plan is to get more scans at the 1 year mark and to see how it's progressing. The great news is I feel tremendous and surgery is off the table. Now,
the 1 year mark would be...
when did he suffer the injury?
Early March? is how I remember it. It was about a month out from Mania. So that's
Wow. Okay.
wow, that's pretty serious. Yeah, I mean it was serious to begin with, but man, that's a
He was
tough timetable.
he was probably going to be out seemingly for that amount of time anyway, but now he's going to basically he's saying like they're going to reassess at the 1 year mark. Wow.
Yeah,
That
obviously
sucks.
wishing the best for him. I mean, that guy's his just demeanor and attitude towards his injury is remarkable.
Yeah.
I think he's made a real conscious effort whenever he gives these updates to really get it across that he is in a positive space where, man, for an athlete, this could be an incredibly dark period of your career to go through.
Totally, yeah. I love that he's involving the audience. Like, yeah, not every person needs to do this, but it seems like he, from day one, when he got injured, like one of his main concerns was to make sure that the audience isn't too concerned about what he was going through. And I think at least, being upfront about, hey, this is what's going on. It's kind of nice to see that he has that relationship with his fan base. We have one super chat to get to, and this comes to us from Chris Waltz, who sends $10. Thank you for the support, Chris. He says, congratulations, Wai. Sad to see the daily news go, but I totally get it. I have a 6-year-old myself, and I have to agree with John. People tend to make the social stuff out to be way worse than it was for me. So thanks for that little bit of advice. Yeah, for those of you who missed it, we will be shelving the daily news updates when the G1 begins in about 2 weeks' time, just as a way so that we could reassess, while I'm on my paternity leave, before we come back to see what we can really handle with our scheduling. But yeah, the G1 updates will be pretty constant. Anytime there's a show, we will put a podcast up there on the Post Wrestling Cafe.
Yeah, I mean we're still going to be doing Raw and Dynamite on those will be free shows every week that I'll be handling along with the G1 shows, and I'm definitely going to be toying around with the idea of doing like breaking news shows when they are necessary. But I also have to, manage, what I can handle on my plate as well. And doing this show daily on top of everything else is just, it's impossible, quite frankly. But there you go. That is some of our summer plans coming up. And again, tonight, Rewind to Raw will be live. Also, you can check out Phil and Eric's UFC 276 post show that went up on Sunday afternoon, a show brought to you by Neil Flanagan, who helped deliver that show for everyone live and on time.
Yes,
so
he did.
thank you to Neil. And that is going to wrap things up. So go join the G1 contest, postwrestling.com/G1, free to enter, deadline of July 15th. But if you enter today, you're a better person.
You certainly are. And maybe G1 related, John. Perhaps we have a special guest on the show tomorrow.
That is right. Tomorrow on the Daily News Show, joining us today, representing the A Block, Tom Lawler will be on the show with Wai and I. So we will be chatting about his first G1 and going over to Japan. Probably long overdue for someone that has been a stalwart at New Japan Strong. So we'll chat with Tom about how he's preparing for this tournament, some of the matches he's looking more forward than others to in the A Block, and just the life of an independent wrestler going through the pandemic. It's been a long 2.5 years. And now the G1, this is going to be his biggest stage to date of his career. So we'll be talking with Tom Tuesday live here on the Post Daily News Show. So that is it for us. And we will speak with you tonight, minutes after Raw.